Crunchyroll rolled out their brand new original series with Tower of God, the adaptation of a highly popular manhwa, and proceeded to do the same with The God of High School. The only problem is that Tower of God killed its first season, hell, even its first 6 episodes, something you can check out in another video of mine in which I review the first season of Tower of God. Meanwhile, I don't really know what God of High School is doing. It's honestly kind of a mess. And while I know its first season hasn't reached its end, the alarming nature of just how chaotic and disorganized it is has pushed me to talk about it only 6 episodes in. I hope for its sake it gets better, but without further ado, we are Dino Junkie, and this is a look into whatever the hell God of High School is trying to do. So let me just preface the rest of this video by saying that I have enjoyed God of High School and that it is okay for anyone else to like it and think it is good. I just think it has a lot of flaws with what has been released so far. I'll talk about the positives really quickly since there are a lot less positives than negatives, and I want to display that I do think this show holds positive qualities. For one, God of High School is animated by MAPPA, which has quite a few titles under their belt, like Hajime no Ippo Rising, Yuri on Ice, Inuyashiki, Banana Fish, Dororo, Kakegurui, Dorohedoro, and later this year will be the 4th season of Attack on Titan and the adaptation for Jujutsu Kaisen, which I am incredibly hyped for. Yes, the animation done by MAPPA is typically quite stellar, applying wholeheartedly to God of High School as well. There have been quite a few incidences where I get angry with God of High School for a pacing issue or plot hole, but then I look back to the screen and my 7-year-old brain kicks in going, Sakuga is defined as a term used in anime to describe moments in a show or movie when the quality of the animation improves drastically, typically for the sake of making a dramatic point or enlivening the action. Now, while this does occur in God of High School, most scenes that are not Sakuga for it would be for any other show. I could see Jin giving another character a high five, and it would be some top-tier animation. But that's not quite enough for MAPPA. They went, oh, you call that Sakuga? No, we'll show you Sakuga, resulting in something a little like this.
Oh, okay, goddamn.
My eyes are blessed with each new episode, and so I sit down each week to witness a marvel in animation, which makes up for a lack of effort in other departments. Really quickly, I would also like to address the soundtrack/music department. There are some scenes that are made better due to some beautiful tracks being played in the background. I was worried that a lot of the soundtrack was going to be like the opening, this loud and blaring hype man techno music, but luckily it's not. Many songs play into the tone of the scene, which allows for a mutualistic relationship, each one playing off the other quite nicely. Now, that's not to say I don't like the OP, I do, but I think it has its place within each episode just as much as anything else. Too much of it is not a good thing, except the animation, of course, my god. In many other shonen, we receive some form of introduction to the world and how it functions through exposition within the first few episodes, with new things being learned upon each weekly release. My Hero Academia does this by explaining that their world is inhabited by people with superpowers, labeled as quirks, which is then followed by the main protagonists, in this case Deku's, origin story. One Piece achieves this through setting up the reason for Luffy's ambition to become a pirate, while simultaneously world-building with the display of a Sea King and a Devil Fruit. I mean, even the first opening itself is a great way to quickly introduce someone to the world. In Demon Slayer, we see the beginning of Tanjiro's quest to cure his sister and the tragedies and hard work he must endure just in order to start his journey. This is all done with a clear depiction of Taisho-era Japan, allowing for the audience to settle into a known setting comfortably. Even Tower of God, Crunchyroll's first manhwa original, accomplishes this. We get an introduction to how the tower itself works, then an introduction to our main protagonist, and then the catalyst that breaks the stasis that allows for the story to then take place. The God of High School doesn't do that. And I'm not saying that shows need exposition dumps in order to be good, but the way information is given in this show makes you wish for the standard shonen formula. In the first episode, we see what seems to be criminals on an island trying to eradicate the threat of the current political leader of the country, Park Mujin, through the use of blackmail, only for them all to be crushed by a large force, leaving an imprint of a hand with a symbol on it on the island. Cut back to Park Mujin in his office, where we see him slam down on his desk, revealing the same symbol on that hand. Some non-descriptive dialogue about setting plans up, typical mastermind stuff, and then we get our intro. Standard enough, I'd say. The show establishes a threat right off the bat that our characters will most likely have to deal with in the future. And after the intro, we'll meet our main cast. And we do. Right after the intro, we get a nicely animated scene which includes our main character, Jin Mori, as a child talking to his grandpa. Only Jin and his grandfather are in focus, leaving others passing by in this blurred and muted grayscale. It kind of reminded me of that one episode of Black Mirror where they aren't allowed to see certain people based off the crimes they have committed. Anyways, Jin's Gigi starts speaking to Jin, causing the rain to freeze while everything around them brightens. Again, the animation just going above and beyond. Basically, Jin's grandfather has to leave him, but we don't know why he must, or why we should care, since this is literally our first introduction to both of these characters. And I wouldn't be this harsh if they used this for some character development, but so far they haven't at all. His grandfather leaves and dissipates into one of the cloudy forms, leaving Jin behind. Jin yells out a promise and then wakes up, showing it was a dream of a past memory. A cliche, but forgivable this early on. Jin realizes that he has woken up late, and we get some of your standard Japanese humor. Jin cartoonishly starts to panic about being late and then starts screaming, "Ooh, haha, funny." Yeah, sorry, there are plenty of moments in anime that have made me laugh, but this type of stuff isn't gonna cut it. They throw humor like that a lot in here, not exactly the same type of scenario, but of a similar style, and each time it happened, it really took me out of wanting to pay attention. I wouldn't laugh, and the fact that I knew they wanted me to laugh just then really makes it hard to take the show seriously, and there are plenty of moments when it wants you to take it seriously as well. The God of High School tournament preliminaries are being held in Seoul, and we get some information as to what it is. An all-styles martial arts tournament for students all over the country. Nothing more is given than that, which is alright for the time being, since we only need to know the basic premise in order to understand what's going on. Next, we meet our second main character, Han Daewee, who is, surprise, also partaking in the God of High School tournament. After Daewee, our third and final main character introduction arrives with Yu Mira, who is seeking directions to the arena. Jin runs into Mira by accident while in pursuit of a purse thief, and the two go after the thief for like 5 minutes with more of that comedy gold type humor thrown in there. The thief is stopped by Daewee, and now, yay, the group is all here and can go to the stadium together. The announcer says that whoever wins will have any wish they want granted. Wait a sec. That sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before? No big deal. The main cast officially meets each other while at the stadium. The rules of the tournament are given and the battle royale begins. Jin, Daewee, and Mira, of course, do fine, along with some other standout characters that they put in the opening. And then the people in charge of the tournament put a convicted criminal into the battle royale in order to deal with some of the heavy hitters. The only thing I had a question about was, is he a high school student? Because he doesn't seem to be, and if he isn't, that seems awfully unfair. I get that they get anything if they win the tournament, but I thought the whole point was that it's high school aged fighters versus other high school aged fighters, hence the name
The God of High School.
The episode ends with Jin and the convict Kang Masyuk, look, I'm gonna be bad at pronouncing these names, going at one another, and that's the first episode. A jumbled mess of poorly placed humor, bad pacing, and a few grains of information to hold on to as this train wreck heads for a brick wall. These flaws aren't a one-time deal, hit it and quit it type mistake. Oh no, let's continue and I'll show you what I mean. Episode 2. The second episode jumps back to the Island Hand incident, showing the President of the United States looking it over while in the Pentagon. Park Mujin infiltrates the Pentagon, introduces himself, and then the intro starts up. I really don't have a problem with this plotline, as it has just been the story showing that Park Mujin is powerful and resourceful. After the intro, you'd think we'd pick back up with Jin and Kang fighting, right? Wrong. It just shows them chilling in the stadium, and then Jin following Mira on the way back home because Mira apparently intervened before they could start fighting and broke Jin's neck. Why did she do this? Because he was holding her sword. Why was he holding her sword? Because he was trying to get it back for her from Kang. How dumb are these characters supposed to be? Why wouldn't you think that through a little more? I know they have technology to heal his neck, but it's still extremely unnecessary and causes me to dislike the unintelligent characters crafted from their unintelligent motives. The real reason this occurred was so that the writer could have an excuse to put in a one-on-one fight between Jin and Kang later in the story, so that he could put in some forced character development between the main trio in the meantime. And I like character development. I want it. But if you write yourself into a corner and then crudely write yourself back out, I'm gonna notice. So, the three Wonderkins go home together, say why they are in the tournament, and then search together for Mira's sword after Jin drops it in the river. And my whole thing is that the exposition is done when it is convenient for the author to do so. I've not read the manhwa, nor do I plan to, as a lot of my time is already spent reading content for future videos, or doing research on a specific topic for one, so I cannot speak to whether this anime adaptation is a faithful representation of what happens within the original source material. What I can say is that if the original manhwa is different than what the director of the show has created, being that it executes these plot points smoothly and with more grace, then my comments are directed toward the creative production team behind this project. Even if the original source material is this choppy, you have a job to smoothen it out. I know you have talented people working for you, your animation is a testament to that, but perhaps that is where all of the talent went. I'm not sure, so if anyone is aware of how the manhwa differs or not, please feel free to let me know, because I would be pissed if my work got jumbled like this. Anyways, we get some background on why Mira is so dedicated to her sword style. It's because of her father, and apparently Mira needs to find a successor, and it can't just be her, it has to be a man. Not sure what kind of message is trying to be portrayed there, but if they're not careful, they're going to be taking some steps backwards with women's equality. I mean, that's the main premise of the 4th episode, which I'll be getting into, but let's continue on with the story. Daewoo and Mira win their respective battles in the ring, and Kang is up against one of the hard hitters who respects Jin to a high degree. Kang plays dirty and begins torturing his opponent until Jin steps in to stop him. It's a total cliche again, but it's a good one, an enjoyable one. You can't help but feeling kinda hyped up when you see Jin knock him to the side while exclaiming it was a weak attack. Also, we have no idea how Jin received his training or what it was like, so he's kinda just really good without us growing with him. And you know, that's kind of a staple if you want your audience to care about the main character of a battle shonen type show. I mean, even Saitama, who beats everyone in one punch, has his training regimen shown and what inspired him. And One Punch Man is a satire of shows like these. So you would hope that we would have received more. But no. Man, I don't know why I'm supposed to care about literally anything in this show. Jin, of course, wins the fight, but is then put out of commission by the commission. You see what I did there?
Shut up, bitch!
And then the episode ends as Jin leaves to receive his punishment. Oh, okay. How many more? 4? Dear God. Okay, let's do this. Episode 3. We get some sort of weird cult listening to the tournament on a radio. Cut to intro. After the intro, the commission, including Park Mujin, is deciding on Jin's punishment when Mujin finds out who Jin's grandfather is, something that seems to surprise him greatly. Cut to Mira fighting against Ma Mission, whatever, a WWD pro wrestler, which makes me beg the question again. Are all of these people kids? You get your standard battle. Mira struggles a bit, which gives the plot enough time to give unimportant opponent number 76 a slight backstory. Yet, once again, I don't care. Mira beats her opponent and Jin's punishment is decided. He will be put back in the tourney, but first he has to beat one of the commissioners in a fight. Park Mujin gives Jin some fruit, but not just any fruit. Apparently it's fruit that will make him stronger, but is quite dangerous to consume. Now, Jin doesn't know this. This is all explained by Mujin in, again, a very nondescript way in order to keep elements about Jin mysterious. Ooh, even though honestly anything would be helpful to give Jin some more character other than, I like to fight. Daewoo's next fight goes pretty much the same as Mira's, but instead with the emphasis on Daewoo's background of the fact that He's doing this for his sick friend. The fruit that Park gave Jin made him vomit up blood, which resulted in Jin being late for his fight, a normal side effect, but he was still able to show up and moved a lot better than he normally would have. This pisses off the commissioner, who unleashes his own hidden power, an almost persona-like entity that is incredibly strong. The rest of the commission has to restrain him from going too far, and Park declares Jin the winner for causing the commissioner to lose control. Park also says to himself that Jin is definitely his grandfather's tiger cub and that they aren't going to let him get away from them. This episode isn't terrible, just more of battles, and more battles, and setting up Park Mujin as our antagonist. Honestly, Mujin has received more setup as a villain than most of our characters have as heroes. Episode 4, here we are. The episode that really tipped me over the edge. Let's just jump into what happened so you can see for yourself. Main trio is walking along, talking about the next fight. Then, some purpled hair guy drives in front of them, gets out of his car, and proposes to Mira. They all look surprised, as anyone might. Cut to intro. After intro, we see Mira making decisions for her wedding because she said yes to him. Who does that? She doesn't even know him at all, but decides it's a good idea since he is a rich and famous martial artist and successful businessman. He offers to push her moonlight sword style to being popular again, and that is just too much for her to handle. She doesn't think to herself, maybe he has ulterior motives as he is a celebrity with all kinds of power and just happened to propose to me on the basis of fulfilling my lifelong dream. She's so dumb. Please stop writing characters like this, like her. It reminds me of Sakura. She is going to become a joke. Just write well-developed female characters like Krush from ReZero. Getting married means she also has to drop out of the tournament. So not only will she make the successor a man, even though it doesn't need to be, not only is she getting married for someone else's dream, her father's, but she also can't fight in the tournament. This whole episode is Jin and Daewoo trying to convince her not to get married to this guy as he probably has ulterior motives, which of course ends up being the case. This is only revealed to be completely true after Mira decides for herself, but really from her logical friends beating her over the head with sense. It is revealed in one of my favorite lines of the entire show, just because of how stupidly funny it sounds.
Stop fooling yourself, you stupid little girl!
Why they decided to make the actor say the line in English is beyond me, but I'm so glad they did. He works for the cult and they need her sword style, so that's why he went after her in the first place. Pair unleashes his persona and goes after Mira, and can you guess? Yeah, she beats him with her sword style. Now this cliche is pretty weak, not gonna lie. It's just a really cheesy way to end the fight. Then the trio leaves, together, happy again. All of that character development for Mira happened in this one episode. It just felt so rushed to me, like this could have been a character arc. But alas, the pacing in this show is abysmal. They just drop whatever they need to into each new episode to keep it moving. The episode doesn't end here. It ends with Daewoo's sick friend Seung-tae getting worse and Daewoo beating the crap out of Mira in their match. He doesn't hold back, and I gotta be honest, it's one of my favorite scenes of the show so far. Not just because they have written Mira so dumb that I dislike her now, but also because the tone shift emphasizes how important this is for Daewoo. Within the next episode, Daewoo will receive the most character development, putting him above the main protagonist. Man, what a feat, but at this point I'm not surprised. Episode 5. Like I said before, this episode is about Daewoo and him getting a large amount of character development. Basically, Daewoo and Seung-tae became friends a couple years back and have been best friends since then. However, as we know, Seung-tae got really sick to the point where it seemed incurable. In this episode, we find out that Park Mujin offered to Daewoo to treat Seung-tae with their nanobot technology if Daewoo won the final tournament, but only after. So, then can someone explain to me how it is he's in the same hospital as Mira, the one that Park promised to Daewoo when Mira gets out of the hospital? For some context, when she gets out, Daewoo and Jin are fighting, meaning that Daewoo has not won the final yet, meaning he would not have been moved to their care yet. It's just a blatant plot hole that I didn't have to try too hard to find. I saw it on my first viewing. I have a feeling it was done, once again, for convenience's sake of the plot, because Mira happens to see that Daewoo and Seung-tae are friends. This then allows her to deliver a message to Daewoo from Seung-tae after he realizes his friend is dead, which tells Daewoo to fight for his own sake, no longer Seung-tae's sake. A nice sentiment for sure, but one that would have never been given to Dewi by Mira in a world with no plot holes. But again, not surprising. Also, these people have only recently become friends and met each other, and yet they hold losing their friendship at such high stakes, like Dewi doing what he did was like Lucifer betraying God. It's really not that deep. If Dewi had become an antagonist, I would have been fine with it because we're not too far in, and while 6 episodes can develop characters enough for you to care about them, God of High School's 6 episodes have not. Episode 6. Yeah, so episode 6 just came out and it isn't as bad as some of the others, but that doesn't mean it is without its flaws. The main issue I have with the 6th episode of the series is that the top 3 contestants will be formed into a team to fight the other teams around the nation. So my question is, why have Mira fight Dewi and Dewi fight Jin? Seems like a waste of money on healing them back up to normal, but logical, reasonable storytelling was abandoned long ago. I noticed a pattern where episode 4 had a lot of development for Mira and episode 5 had the same for Dewi, so I guess that this one would have some for Jin, and it sort of does, but not really. It shows his grandpa still alive at least, only to be ambushed by the cult we met previously right as we're introduced to him again. The main story thread for this episode is setting this cult called Nox up as another antagonistic force. When asked his reason for competing in the tournament, Jin gives the response, "Because being stronger is cooler," which doesn't help to build his character at all. He's so unbelievably bland, like oatmeal. Even more nondescript dialogue goes on about special people who aren't specified, and by the end of the episode, we're fully set up for the next arc, which will surround the main trio fighting as a team in another tournament, while Park Mujin and the Commission deals with Nox. Normally, with a new arc in an anime, I get excited, but I honestly don't feel anything most of the time I watch this show, other than anger, so excitement isn't gonna happen. And there you have it, all 6 episodes that have been released so far. Now let's wrap this puppy up, shall we? All in all, I would say The God of High School is a complete masterpiece. The God of High School is nowhere near as well done as Tower of God, and Tower of God is no masterpiece. The poor pacing causes scenes to feel either dragged out or rushed, and it seems as though they hired a splatter paint artist instead of a storyboard director, because the plot's all over the place with obvious missing pieces scattered here and there with fake levels of deepness behind them. Also, why is every Korean person in this show animated to look like they have a runny nose? It's off-putting. The animation is some of the best I've ever seen, so I will continue to watch it solely for that reason. If the animation is not enough for you, then I don't recommend picking it up unless you want to watch something that requires little to no brain activity. If you made it all the way to the end, that's really cool. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you have a good-ass rest of your day. My name is Max, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.